Welcome back to Behavioral Finance and FinTech. Now, I want to draw attention to a truck company called Nikola. And what do you see? You see Trevor Milton, the CEO of this brand new company until last year, right? That announced their plan to build and manufacture and sell those hydrogen powered electric car, right? 수소 truck, right? Hydrogen truck idea. Did they have manufacturing facility? No, it was just their plans, right? But after pandemic, the outbreak, right? So many people rushed to the stock market, and then the market bubble took place, and people were rushing for electric vehicles idea like Tesla. And then Tesla's original name, right? The inventor's name was Nikola Tesla. Tesla was famous for its CEO, right? The Elon Musk. I'm going to talk about that guy later. But there came a next one, Trevor Milton, right? And now his idea was, well, instead of just the electric car, why don't we think about, hydrogen and that truck, a huge one, instead of just a small car, right? If you want to tell a lie, you have to tell, you have to be a big liar instead of just a small liar, right? Anyway, so people applauded and then, wow, that's so sexy. Let's buy that stock. And then the thing was, Nikola was a private company, not listed in the stock market. But instead, another form of M&As and IPO took place, which is called the SPAC, SPAC, Special Purpose Acquisition Company. Was launched, did the IPO first. The purpose of this SPAC was to merge Nikola, okay, and that is a way of bypassing the IPO procedure. Usually, Kupang IPO or whatever regular IPO, you have to go through intensive investigation, or not investigation, but the scrutiny of the regulators. Oh, is it a good company or not, right? Intensively. But if a SPAC or the paper company takes over a private company, that SPAC is already being traded in the market. So the IPO procedure, you can bypass it, and then it's going to be very loose. So that was their way of, making money out of it, or raising capital to do some hydrogen car idea. Now, the thing is, at one point, right, September 8th or sometime, September 8th of last year, General Motors announced that, wow, we are ESG friendly car manufacturer, and then we welcome the idea of hydrogen car, sexy Nikola, welcome baby, and then we are going to manufacture the truck for you, and then let's cooperate, kind of things, right? They just announced it so that the Nikola's price skyrocketed like crazy. The next 2 days later, Hindenburg research published this paper, and the report says, Nikola, how to parlay an ocean of lies into a partnership with the largest auto OEM in America. Oh my God, what the heck is that? Essentially, it was disclosing, right, that the Nikola is a scam, right? And then Nikola won the truck advertisement video, right? There in the video, you see a huge truck, supposedly hydrogen powered one, rushing and then running fast in the highway, but that turned out to be running without hydrogen, but with the force of gravity, which means like the guys just pushed that truck from the top of the hill, like, and then they just ran, right? Guess how many times they had to do it for, NG, no good films, right? Do it again. And then the engines they said they are producing is not really what they produced. It's not there. The technology is not there yet. Everything is fishy, right? Trevor Milton, in response, they deny the charges and they say, you guys are liars. Is that the Hindenburg research? You guys are working for the short sellers. You guys are bad price manipulators. We are doing good. Believe in us, please. 믿어주세요. It's kind of Nikola, right? But here's the stock price. Okay. Later, the price plunged down like crazy, bounced back a little bit, but kept on going down. From $66 range back onto $9 range. Good luck, right? So after this, Hindenburg's short selling research report, this is what happened. And the thing is, this guy, Trevor Milton, was sued by investors, and then SEC investigated it. It's still, the jury's out there, but he's largely, recognized as, this Hindenburg research turns out to be valid and true. Whereas this guy is claiming is like problematic. So that this guy is now, plea bargaining kind of things, so that he made a promise to SEC that he is not going to move out of X miles, 5 miles away from his home or whatever in Utah. And with that condition, he will not be in jail. He was just, I will be staying here, I will be a good boy, and things like that. Yeah, that's what happened. And then this guy and his family was selling the stock busily at these peak points to make cash, enough to pay penalty to the SEC. And with that payment, right, they secured that, That's the thing, right? That's the thing, what happened. Hindenburg, by the way, what's the name? It reminds us of Nazi Germany, right? You see what? Hitler, Adolf Hitler, and then President Hindenburg. It's a name of the president that, whose time Hitler became the, how do you say? Whatever, the Chongtong thing, right? And then in that Nazi Germany era in 1930s, and there were some, how do you say, 비행선, air balloon, not a balloon, but air vehicle, right? The biggest air vehicle that human beings ever made is this one, Hindenburg. Its length was close to that of Titanic, only 24 meters shorter, right? Can you imagine that? And then it was flying 100 kilometers per hour, compared to the usual airplanes flying at like 1,000 kilometers per hour. It's like 1/10 slower, but it's reasonably fast enough to enjoy. And then flying in a lower part of the sky so that you can enjoy the views, nice scenery. So that it was a nice tool for this guy to advertise or propaganda the Nazis, political system kind of things. And this is Manhattan. Can you believe that Nazi Germany's air vehicle is flying around with a Nazi flag on it? Holy cow. After a couple of years, they went into the battle, right, as of World War II. But before that, they were kind of, exchanging this kind of things. And then these balloons started from Frankfurt, Germany or something, and then traveled across Atlantic, and then also went to Brazil, right? All around the world. And then when coming back, I guess, at New Jersey, they got exploded. They exploded for mysterious reasons that we still don't know. But what is the possible reason? Well, the thing is, inside this balloon, they have to fill a light gas, and then this should be not flammable. So helium must be the first substance that you want to fill in, the gas. But the thing is, the United States banned the export of helium to other countries because they were afraid that Nazi Germany or other enemy countries could create this kind of balloon and then bombard United States cities like that. So they could not fill in the helium. Instead, they looked for some cheaper but lighter gas, which turns out to be hydrogen. And that hydrogen was powerful enough or flammable enough so that nowadays you can generate Nikola kind of, I don't know, the vehicles, right? It can be power generating, right? Like this. It's flammable. So it was very dangerous to do this, right? But they just filled in instead of the helium, right? 꽝 대신 닭 kind of. So what's the consequence? On the way of reaching to the New Jersey military port, right? At one point, they had to stop in one station in New Jersey to make a turn, and then they wanted to, stop over there and park it, and then the guys will be coming down and then take some rest, okay? Walking downward ladder. But unfortunately, the hydrogen just leaked, and then with some static fire or with the electricity or something, the things got burned down. So out of 90 people inside this, about 30 plus people died on the spot. Very tragic event. So after this, very, how do you say, a shocking moment. And this picture lasted for long, so that ever since, right, the Hindenburg has a bad connotation of this picture. And then the engine that was used over here was from Zeppelin, and actually, even though it exploded miserably like that, tragically, the passengers that enjoyed this flight was the richest people in Germany or Europe, okay, continental Europe. And then the engines that were used came from Zeppelin or Zeppelin engine. And that Zeppelin engine, right, is now, they are providing those engines to Maybach, Zeppelin, right? Mercedes-Benz, the super top brand name, if you remember it, right? Rolls-Royce, would you like it? Or Maybach, which way you want to go? Zeppelin engine is the best one over there. Rolls-Royce is also producing that, the airline or the airplane engines, by the way. Somehow those airplane engines and the car engines, luxury car engines, go together somehow. The brand name effect is there. And then that Zeppelin engine, right? That Zeppelin name was used for this legendary rock group called what? Led Zeppelin. If you're a fan of hard rock and metal, heavy metal, right? There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. 그건데요. So that being used, you see this logo over here. It comes from there, right? Hindenburg research, yeah, their purpose was to disclose all those hidden negative information of bad companies, right? And then write a short selling report, okay? To prevent the human-made disaster like that. That's good. So you see functioning, nice functioning of those short selling report, okay? Now it brings me back to the idea of arbitrageurs and short sellers together with it. For efficient market hypothesis, we need arbitrageurs with infinite power to correct the market price or mispricing, okay? Remember in our second week of discussion, why do we need the three scenarios that justify flat demand curves. Securities demand curve has to be flat in informationally efficient market. Number one was everybody was rational. Number two, partly rational, but the other part you had optimist and pessimist balancing each other out. Number three is three different kinds, right? Are there rational guys, optimist and pessimist? They may not make the balance, but there comes the fourth one. Which one is what? Which is arbitrageurs, right? Arbitrageur with infinite power, like Avengers power, so that they can correct the price, so that the price will be equal to fundamental, the true value. So that's arbitrageurs is very important. And then the arbitrageurs, they take sometimes long position, sometimes short position. Short position means the short selling, long position means buying, right? Infinite amount of buying and selling power, even the short selling, right? They can do it like Avengers, like Iron Man kind of things, right? Let's see the reality of arbitrageurs. is the idea over here. This is the point where we discuss this arbitrage's ability and theoretically how it should be working for the EMH, and then in reality, what's the limitation. Okay, so positive function of short sellers, we're going to talk about it first, and then we'll move down to the limits of arbitrage. And then malfunctioning of arbitrageurs, we're going to talk about those things. And on the way, we're going to talk about the short squeeze kind of events, very exciting ones. So let's go. The positive function, the raison d'être or raison d'être, or raison d'être of why we need those short sellers, arbitrageurs, right? People hate short sellings. By the way, if you want to get bad replies from the internet in your social media, one of the best ways to attract bad replies is to write a news article that says, "Oh, short sellers are good for market efficiency." Every professor who says that in the news article, they immediately receive terrible replies. Akpul, right? There is a reason, and we're going to talk about why. I'm going to talk about why that kind of phenomena happens. Why the impression or image of those short sellers are so bad, as if they are the diablo of this capital market. Kind of information, yeah. So here's a table, the kind of information about the firm and the balance of power between buys and sells, right? So let's say here's Nikola, a company, right? A company. There could be good information and bad information each time you receive a news about that, Nikola, right? But you can split the investors into two groups. One is where the investors who have Nikola's stock already. And the other is the investors who don't own Nikola yet, okay, when you don't have the stock, okay? So first thing first, when you own a stock, this group of investors, when you hear good news, but it is not priced yet in the market, what do? Well, you purchase more, additionally buy. When you hear bad news, what do? Before it gets priced, you sell it. Okay, fine. The next group, without Nikola's stock. You heard good news, it's not priced. What do? Buy it. Second, you get bad news, but you don't own the stock. What do? It's a big question, right? Should you do nothing? 수수방관 is like, my hands are tied. I'm not going to do. I'm going to be just a spectator, right? And see what happens over there as just a spectator and then peeking into it. Ooh, what happens? We call it irresponsibility, 무책임해, right? If you are responsible investors, what would you do? What would you do? You have to join the sell forces somehow by short selling it. Otherwise, if you don't short sell it, what happens? The balance of power breaks down. The balance of power within this group, right? The owner group, you see a balance of buy and sell depending on the news quality. News, good versus bad. But for the group of people who don't own the stocks, perhaps the majority of the investors in the world, right? You see a breakdown of balance, much more buy power than any sell powers that you see. Should there be any, right? So the balance of power is broken if you forbid those short selling. So what will be the consequence? On average, there will be much more buy power for each security than the sell power. So the price will go up and up and up. Get away from the fundamentals, which means we mean a bubble takes place. Don't get confused. Some of you may say, oh, up and up and up. Isn't it something we mean by, isn't that what we mean by positive expected return, which means high risk, high return, and then we're going to have some positive return in the future anyway? No. That's different. Okay? Risk return trade-off, high risk, high return is not about this one. Okay, a risk return trade-off already assumes this kind of balance of power, short selling available. CAPM, all this kind of theory assumes this happening. Okay, what we mean by this, the breakdown of power, is like a bubble. The price getting away from the fundamentals upwards, right? Well, isn't it good? Some of you will still may question, right? Oh, as long as the price goes up, wouldn't you be happy? Yeah, we are happy, but the thing is, eventually the price will meet the reality. 현실을 만나게 될 것입니다. It's like 쓰디쓴 현실. It's like a bitter reality. You're going to meet it, which we call it crash, right? Price crash will take place at random time. When does it crash? We don't know. What the hell, man? The thing is, smarter investors like institutional investors will know it in advance so that they will take advantage of it. Not by short selling it, because in those cases we are assuming banning short selling, right? No short selling allowed, but for the institutional investors, they can sell earlier. They can time better than you guys, but us, right? Me and you. Individual investors are the victims usually. 90% or whatever percent it may be. It's like, for sure, in the individual investors like patsy, like we don't know what the heck. So if you ban short selling, we are going to be, you and me, individual investors, you and me, baby ain't nothing but individual investors, and get screwed if there is no short selling. Okay, that's quite opposite to what we believe when we read the news articles about short selling. Why is that happening? And why do people say 개미들은 가라, like it's not for you guys, right? Why? There is a reason why. There is a reason why. Oh, it's unfair. The institutional investors have easy time short selling it, but us individual investors, we have such a difficult time, and the cost of short selling is so high for us, disproportionate, and that's unfair. You may complain, but there is a reason why it is structured as such. So we're going to talk about that part in the next video. Thanks for watching.